name of it?
Well, I don't know which one is the most powerful, but I mean, I do agree with you're saying. It has Jewish ties to it, so
Right.
yeah, I
So
agree with
it's
that.
really powerful. But here's the thing. I think there is a solution. I think it's not going to be easy. I'm not, you know, an expert enough to even begin to pontificate on how to solve that problem. I don't think a giant wall for 300 years is going to do the trick, though. That's not it.
Well,
I think
not in the modern age where you can fire rockets right over the wall, and they're still arguing about the Holy Land and things like that. No, I mean, because if you build a wall and the wall involves Palestinian land that they think is theirs, then they're going to be unhappy the whole time that you have land on that side of the wall.
which is currently happening in the West Bank. Like they're
Yeah.
building a fence through Palestinian land, like that is designated Palestinian in the West Bank, and you have all the settlements going into the West Bank, and
Yeah.
it's not a great situation. But no matter who's president, that's going to happen. I fully believe in funding the Ukraine because I think I said this on your show before. The last time we let a madman run roughshod over Europe, it didn't end well.
Yep. Yep.
And Putin is not going to stop with Ukraine if we just let him have it. He's going to keep going. And anybody who would spend just a couple of hours researching Russian history, Putin's writings on the topic, and his thoughts on the USSR, and his desire to rebuild that will understand why the attack happened when it did, and why he would not stop with Ukraine.
Yeah, but what about the notion that like Trump, for instance, thinks Putin is not such a bad guy. I mean, he thinks the Ukraine is the one with biolabs and corruption. So if we get Trump in office, he's going to view the Ukraine and Russia exactly the opposite of the Biden administration.
Right, because at that point, facts don't matter.
Mm.
Right? Like, facts don't matter to him. It's whatever's convenient for him and his desire for power, I think, is the thing with that. But as far as this border bill goes, even if it was not tied to the foreign aid, I think the bill's a good bill. I really think it's a decent bill. Does it deal with the push-pull factors? No, it doesn't. But does it deal with what is happening in the immediate moment at the border? Yeah. But I don't think Republicans would pass it anyway, because if you'll think back to when Bush was president, the Gang of Eight came up with a really good border bill.
Okay.
It was bipartisan. It was a good bill.
But wait a minute, when you say, but hold on, because my last caller made it sound like MAGA is sheep and things like that. So I want to ask you that when you say the Republicans wouldn't likely pass this bill anyway. My last caller suggested they would do whatever Trump says. If Trump said this is a good bill, you guys need to take it. It'll help my administration once I'm in office. Do you think they would change their mind?
I think they would, but I don't think he's not going to.
Well, we know that. Yeah, we know that.
But they may. But the times that they've come really close to a bill in the past, the far right of the party loses its mind. And that's when the term rhino became a thing. Yeah. The people that supported that bill, they got deemed rhinos. And that was when the Tea Party was first emerging and becoming a power. And that kind of pushed them forward.
Yeah.
And so the thing with the border is this. I've always said neither side is truly interested in fully solving the problem. Because if you solve it, you can't campaign on it.
Yep.
And for the Trump side, if you solve it, you can't use fear-mongering.
Well, listen, Trump has a max of only 4 years in office, unless he becomes some kind of dictator or something, which campaigning won't mean anything. But as far as him being in office, he can. We got like, what, tens of millions, at least 10 million illegals in this. Some folks give you 20, 30 million. There will always be people to go after. So you will always be able to campaign on going after illegal immigrants.
Oh yeah, but not if you what this would fix at the border would take away a lot of his campaign rhetoric, because some of it's what he's calling for. Now they're saying if it's I think now what the bill says is if there's 5,000 crossings a week, they can shut the border down.
Yeah.
Well, 5,000 is a whole lot less
Yeah.
in a week than what it is now in a day. So that's improvement. I think there's some good stuff in this bill. And for them to just say, for Mike Johnson to say, oh, well, I consulted with Trump, bill is dead on arrival.
Yeah. And
He's not the president.
yeah, and that right there, and I will add on to that because you often hear folks on the right talking about people who are traitors to this country and treasonous. If you have a current president and you're working with some dude that's not even in the White House, to me that does almost seem like an act of treason or something. He's not the president. You are beholden to the commander in chief. You're working with some dude that's on the outside. That don't seem right.
Yeah, and at this point, it would be seen as Biden got a win, and they don't want Biden to get a win this close to the election.
Yeah. All right.
You know, I think that they're playing politics. They don't really. They said, give us a border bill, we'll give you the funding for Ukraine and Israel. Well, they come up with a bipartisan border bill, and they're like, never mind.
Well, last question. Let me ask you this before I move it on. Because there's so many people that believe this. In your humble opinion, do you think Trump would be a better president when it comes to dealing with the border than Biden?
No, because the border crossings started going up under Trump. Like, it increased drastically.
But they went up even
So-
more. But even under Biden, it's been even worse.
Oh, yeah, because we've got a major problem. I do agree we need to address the issues that are they're the push-pull factors of immigration. Like, why are people doing this?
But let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase it. If Trump was president, you think the amount of folks that are coming in this country right now would still be coming in?
Yep,
Really?
I do.
I gotta disagree with that.
I think it's barrier.
Go ahead.
I don't think a wall is going to stop it. So I have a family member that was stationed on a border, and they watched some guys one night pull up with some sawzalls, cut the freaking fence, and drive right through it.
Here's why I disagree. Here's why I totally disagree with that. You see these patriots or whatever the hell you want to call it that's going down there willing to help Governor Abbott in protecting the southern border, and you see the fight that Abbott is dealing with the Biden administration in regards to it. If Trump was president, he would be leading those patriots down there. He would be siding with what Governor Abbott is doing. You would have twice the manpower on the border because not only would you have the border officials, he would have all of those states. I mean, there's plenty of people in Arizona, plenty of people in New Mexico, maybe even a few people in California that would want to defend the border. He would say, anybody that wants to defend this border, come on down, we need your help. Whereas Biden is working against citizens that want to defend the border. So even though I'm not necessarily a Trumper, I gotta say that I think Trump would be so draconian on the border that you would, by safety reasons, you would have less people coming in this country. They would fear their safety coming in here.
But if he did it, it would be outside the bounds of the current laws.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Trump would...
Maybe less would come in, but I don't think the way to enforce the law is to break the law.
All right, fair enough. And Trump is kind of like the Dirty Harry of cops. It's not always the right thing to do, but damn is it effective in terms of the border. I got to move it on, though. Appreciate you coming through here, Tammy. You too, you too. All right, looking, and by the way, go ahead and drop, because the box is not bringing you up, but looking in the comments, liberalism is just dying, period. That ain't true. Have you been to any of that's Cheeky Chops on YouTube, friend of the program? You think liberalism is dying? Are you kidding me? Show me the Republican Party having a national race and at least winning the popular vote before you tell me liberalism is dying. You can't even beat them in the popular vote. You're losing to liberalism. If it wasn't for the Electoral College saving your ass, you kind of come across like France in World War II. So, no, it ain't dying. It ain't dying at all. The only thing that's saving the Republican Party from complete loss after loss to liberalism is the Electoral College. You're not even getting majority of the vote. Even the years that the Republicans win, like the Bush years in Trump, you're still losing the popular vote. So yeah, liberalism dying makes no sense. Looking in the comments, the border bill is a joke. And I see in the comments, Rep 8319, you says there are no liberals in America. I get how that's I get it. And technically that's true when you look at the definitions and things like that. But I'm just simply saying when you compare what we call a liberal in America, that is not dying. Whatever you want to replace the name liberal with, Democrat, progressive, whatever, that group of people is not dying off. In fact, when you look at the under 25 crowd and you think about what percentage of them are liberals versus conservatives, you will really find out that ain't coming close to dying off. In regards to all these immigrants that are coming here, you think they're going to all be conservatives, or you think more of them are going to be liberals? Liberalism is not dying off by any means at all. The border bill is a joke. I'll go right back to the box, but real quick, some of the provisions in that bill, because I did a little bit of research before I got on here. 118.3 billion, 3.9 billion for 4,300 new asylum officers. The asylum officers, their job is to expedite asylum claims. So you don't get to seek asylum and come in the country and stay here for years until your court case comes up. The bill would give them ways to expedite that and move that process on a lot quicker. This bill would end catch and release. So if you get caught coming here illegally, you would be detained until they can decide what to do with your ass. Either you get to stay or you get thrown back into your own country. But you're not roaming around the countryside free to violate any court date as normal. So it would end catch and release. Multiple asylum interviews would be dropped down to a single interview. Once again, eliminating the delay, allowing you to stay here longer. You seek to claim asylum, you get all these court dates and interviews, you can drag that shit out forever, and then maybe even file another case and say, look, I've been here so long, this is the only place my kids have known. They're going to drop it down to one single interview. So once again, expediting the asylum process significantly. That's in the bill. This is the one people are complaining a lot about. Allows a trigger to close the border without authorization if a daily spike exceeds 8,500 people or a weekly average of 5,000. I can't defend that. I understand that number is way too high for folks who want the border under control. You already got tens of millions of people in here. Allowing 8,500 more per day is just unacceptable for a lot of folks, even on the liberal side of the aisle. So that's probably the provision of the bill, with in addition to the Ukraine type shit that people have the biggest problem with. And in my opinion, that's a legitimate gripe. 8,500 people is too many when you already got millions in it. That they need to have dropped that number down significantly. Next, harder to claim asylum. Remove courts from the appeals process and replace them with an internal review board. So when you do claim asylum, you're not going to be going through the courts and clogging up the courts. They're going to give you an internal review board. And I assume that if you're in states like Texas and shit like that, that review board ain't going to be in your favor. So once again, it would speed up denying asylum claims. Next. Asylum seekers must show why they couldn't relocate in their own country to avoid threats. That's a big one. That's a big one. So if you show up and say, look, the cartel in Tijuana, I'm not safe. I need to come to the United States because the cartel's threatening me and my family. Why can't you move to, Mexico City? Why do you have to come here? I mean, show me evidence that they also would chase you down hundreds of miles away in Mexico City. That's a good one. Once again, that would keep them there. And that is in this bill. 1.4 billion for cities taking in immigrants. Now that ain't gonna be popular with folks on the right because that is more money being spent on the problem. But that is in there, and that's going to be aimed at all these cities up north that they're busing immigrants to. Some of that money that used to go to Texas needs to go up north. I mean, you're getting rid of them, then send the money with them. And last but not least, Tim Scott, of all people, is the person that authored, I forgot what it was called, but this is in regards to fentanyl. The president would be required to sanction transnational criminal organizations trafficking fentanyl. Transnational criminal organizations, that's the cartel. So if you're trafficking fentanyl, the president will be required to sanction them. That could mean bombing fields, bombing warehouses. I mean, literally crossing the border and doing shit. You ever seen Clearing Present Danger with can't even think of the guy's name now. The guy from I can't think of his name right now, but that type of shit where they're crossing, they can go over and take them out. There's a lot of good shit in this. Now, looking at the comments real quick, I see that Clickbait says this bill is horrible. You don't think any of the things I named, you don't think any of that stuff, you wouldn't like any of that? You think all of that's horrible? Really? All right, let me go back to the box. Let me see who wants to tell me how bad this bill is. Truth is irony. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Does the bill suck that bad? I mean, like I said, it's an all or nothing approach. Truth, good evening.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. So what do you think about this bill?
I think that the border issue it's not really a crisis. It's a political football. That's what it is. MAGA is using it for fear mongering and to gain more support for Donald Trump.
Now, but wait a minute. They're claiming that millions of folks are in this country. You see in New York, they're beating cops. There's a moped gang that if they just arrested today, 7 to 8 of them going around robbing people. You don't think that no problems are happening at all? You think it's just been overblown?
No. I do believe that. But if it was a real crisis, they would have been in lining up to sign this bill, this bipartisan bill to help shut it down.
But wait a minute. But let me ask you this: when it comes to folks who support Trump, my beloved MAGA, which one do you think is more important, fixing the border or making sure that Trump gets reelected?
So first of all, let me just tell you this: MAGA is addled. Okay, I don't know if everybody knows what addled means. It means dazed and confused. That's what they are. And what happens is, in real life, the ignorant think the intelligent are stupid. And this is what's going on with MAGA. They have absolutely no clue as far as anything that involves any kind of research, any kind of detail, any kind of context or nuance. So what they've fallen prey to is Donald Trump, who is probably the greatest con man ever. This guy gets cheered for applauding an assault on an 80-year-old man. They applauded when he talked about Nancy Pelosi's husband being attacked with a hammer. They applauded him. So this is Biden came this close to calling him a sick fuck during his speech for applauding that. I do remember that. Yeah, well, I mean, you tell me. Is that something that you would support?
No, I'm not a fan of the brashness, the bombastic nature of Trump. I mean, there's some policies that are not bad, but I don't support that.
He's convinced his cult that 91 charges are all nonsense. 91, they're all fake. He's convinced them that an election was stolen without any evidence to prove it. He's convinced them that he's not racist and he doesn't support racism, yet every single racist group votes with the MAGA cult.
But wait a minute, wait, hold on. In regards to the racism claim, Omaha, Nebraska on YouTube says that Trump lent black men money for businesses in New York, or Trump lent black men in New York money for businesses.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. And even if that's so, God bless him then. I'm talking about now. Here's why I know that he's racist. And because just like every single time he gets up and talks, he talks about the election being stolen. He talks about how, whatever issue he has of the day with Nikki Haley or with Ron DeSanctimonious or whatever the nickname he's calling whoever that day. Every single time he has, a rally, he brings that up. If he were not racist, he would bring up the fact that he does not stand with those racists that stand with him. It wouldn't be, you wouldn't have to search the internet for 3 hours to find him saying one time, "Oh yeah, I disavow the KKK," or the 3-letter gang. You wouldn't have to search like that to find those kind of comments.
But wait a minute, does that?
Every time he would be linked with them, he would reject them.
But let me play devil's advocate and go on the other side.
Sure.
Is Trump a racist, or is he somebody who is simply willing, an opportunist, which a lot of politicians are opportunists? In other words, even though this is a bad guy, if this person is willing to help my campaign out, we may take donations or we may take their support. When I say an opportunist, in other words, he may not be a racist, but hey, look, if the KKK will give me votes, then I'm not going to say nothing bad about him. So is he a racist or is he an opportunist?
If you are using people that are racist for opportunity, that puts you in the same boat with them. For example, let me make an analogy that may sound a little wild, but if you don't support rapists or grapists, would you be okay with your daughter marrying one because he has a lot of money?
Yeah, I get your point. Now, in the comments real quick, Ron Friend, I see, said unsubscribe, but one of the persons in the comments said, how many times does a man have to disavow a racist group? So what you're talking about, where you got to go on YouTube and really look for it, he's basically saying that Trump has said constantly, I don't affiliate with these groups. He don't disavow them several times. Is that different from your observation?
It absolutely is. I haven't seen not even one of those rallies where he said that. And if it was, trust me, they would have it on a loop. If it was, if that was actual. He has said it a couple of times. I understand those words have come out of his mouth. But if it was an issue, a real issue with him, then it would be one of his main platforms, just like.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: if Trump, if you're suggesting that, let me ask you, if you're suggesting that Trump is a racist, how do you explain the fact, and this is a literal fact, that among other Republican presidents, I'm talking the Bushes, the Reagans of our lifetime, Trump has gotten more of the black vote. It's not 50%. He's not getting more to vote than liberal candidates, but in terms of Republicans, he is doing better with blacks, and it's even grown from 2020 to now. The polls say he's getting more to black. Why is he doing so well if he's racist?
Because it's ignorance. People are ignorant, and what happens is because of the narrative. If you listen to the right-wing media, if you listen to the podcasts, and one of the worst ways to get information is from podcasts,
okay,
because the way that they survive is through views, so they recognize who their target audience is, and they don't have any relationship with the truth. All they have is a relationship with followers. So they're going to continue to say whatever keeps getting them viewers.
Yeah, but do you want to?
So that's why you have this undercurrent of black men, especially leaning towards Trump. It's because they're listening to these podcasts. They're not getting all of the information. You know what, Handsome Little, I'm sure you do the same thing. Even if I hear some information that I feel favors my point, I still fact check it to make sure that I'm not being misled.
Let me just say this. A lot of people don't do that. I don't want to insult blacks that support Trump. They may have legitimate, it may not be just them being sheep or coming from a podcast. And by the way, Ahmad on YouTube, there's your shout out. And by the way, on YouTube, smash that like button. I see there's several, dozens of you in there. Smash that like button for your boy. Show some love. But in regards to the blacks that support Trump, you don't think there's any legitimate reason for a black person to vote for Trump?
If they have a whole lot of money and they think he's going to, lower their taxes.
What about the border? What about the border?
Here's the thing. When a guy says, let me just get this. When a guy says, this guy can't judge my case because he's a Mexican, is that racist?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, I get your point. I'm not defending him. I'm just simply saying that some folks don't care if Trump is saying things that sound intolerant if at the end of the day their bottom line is going to be better off? They don't care nothing about that because they're like, it ain't going to affect
Yeah,
me.
people will vote for the money. You follow the money all
Yeah.
the time. That's what you do, and this is why Trump is as angry and upset and as as ornery as he is, because they have figured out how to really get to him, and that is they're hitting him in the money. You haven't heard him say a darn thing about E. Jean Carroll since that 83 million, have you?
Well said. All right, I do got to move it on, Truth. But you're right. I don't think he's going to say anything about it.
Having me, man. Keep on doing good work, brother.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on. All right, looking in the box. And as I was saying, there's a lot of folks, even that you've seen on the program, we've had some liberals on the program as well that do not favor the border bill. However, as I stated before, I think Republicans are taking a big gamble. As you know, listen, the bill may be a piece of shit in your eyes, but when I read the provisions of the bill, even the strongest supporters of defending the border hear several aspects of this bill that they agree with. However, I strongly believe you're taking an all or nothing approach. YouTube, by the way, hit that like button, smash that like button. You're taking an all or nothing approach. Whereas the bill ain't perfect. There's a hell of a lot of things in the bill I don't like, so I'm going to reject the bill. And in hopes of Trump winning the election and giving us something significantly better in terms of border control. Listen, even though I may lean left politically, I do believe Trump will be significantly better on controlling the border than Biden, because I believe Trump will do some draconian shit that may not even be legal. But he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that the numbers coming in are considerably less. Considerably less. I mean, listen, there are people in this administration that state that he actually, asked if he could, order folks being shot. So say what you want about, who's better at the border, but I definitely believe Trump would be far, far more effective at stopping people from coming in the country, because he's willing to break the law to get the job done. All of the folks going down to the border to support Texas, Trump would be leading that crowd. He would be in that crowd. Like, you stand here, you guys park a pickup truck over here, you can pull the tanks up over here. It would be like that. You're not going to get that from Biden. Biden is far more friendly. Now, I'm not a fan of shooting illegal immigrants and building moats with poisonous animals and shit like that in it. But I do believe that would stop people. I mean, if they thought they were going to die, and Trump is willing to do all of that. So I don't know why folks are suggesting that, Trump would not be any more effective at the border than Biden. He has a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. Surely they're not going to outlaw everything he does. I think what Texas is doing, putting barbed wire and all that, Trump would be in favor of all of that. So the pushback that Texas is getting from Biden wouldn't be coming from Trump. Trump would be willing to give them a blank check. Do whatever you need to do to secure your border, Governor Abbott. If you need a little bit of federal assistance, give me a call. That's what would happen under Trump. So there's no way in the world I'm going to believe that Biden would be better at securing the border than Trump, or even equal to it. He's not even in the same league. Now, that's not to say you may not see some really draconian shit on TV screens of immigrants drowned in rivers and immigrants begging for help while the water sweeps them away, and the Border Patrol being ordered not to throw them life preservers. I mean, we would do some draconian shit. I'm sure we would do that under Trump. But at the same time, it's going to bring the numbers down significantly, because, like I said, I do believe Trump will be willing to secure the border up to and including loss of life. Looking in the comments, it's real simple. Come legally. Not sure why that's so hard to understand. Seriously? You're not so sure why it's hard to understand come legally, because it's almost impossible to do for probably 90% of the immigrants coming here. And for the ones that do come legally, it can take up to a decade. That's why they're not coming legally. The process is so damn hard that it just is easier to try to do it illegally. I don't know why you don't understand it, but I appreciate the comment. Going to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. I haven't been soliciting that. Tap the screen, get your boy up to around 40,000. We got 400, almost 500 of you in here. We will continue the program on with Furback. Good evening. Welcome to the program. So, we're talking about the border bill and the potential that Trump is blocking it. Do you think that's a good idea? Furback, good evening.
What's up, Tim? How you doing?
I'm doing good. So what do you think? You think the border bill is trash?
I'm. It's better than nothing. To answer your question at the top, yeah, it's a bad thing for Trump to be blocking it. I've been on here for a while. I was trying to get in after Trump Bannister or whatever he is. The guy.
He's a passionate individual.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy him. He's entertaining. You know, something like Trump. Yeah. But like I said, it was funny how he started with their typical points. You know, it's about security, this and that. But I know you listen kind of like I do because I've been watching for a while. But he ended up right where Trump ended up. It was political.
Yeah.
He was worried about the voters that was coming in and this and that. It was political at the end of the day.
But let me push back from the right side of the aisle, play the devil's advocate role. You don't think what Biden is doing at the border is political as well? You don't think that they realize that these folks are going to eventually turn into Democratic votes, even to the point where they're trying to do whatever they can, maybe behind the scenes, to allow some of them to vote? I mean, they are going to become Democrats. You don't think Biden is playing politics here too?
He's a politician.
Right.
So, yeah.
So then how can you fault Trump for doing it?
But all I'm saying is when the rabbit has the pew-pew, it is what it is.
I get it. Ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun. I get it.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But right now, Biden has the pew-pew.
Right.
So either you say you're America first and do something that on face value is the opposite. Which, if you're a politician, then this is the difference between Biden and Trump is, if Biden was the one out, he would probably be like, let's make the deal. Because he understands that at the end of the day, it's America first, and it's going to help him down the road to be the bigger person.
But let me ask the obvious question, because I see on YouTube someone is suggesting that Biden is not playing politics and things like that. The question I have to ask is, Biden is at the end of his term. He has less than a year left. Why the hell hasn't he done more about the borders before now? I mean, why are we getting to literally, the 2-minute warning before he starts doing? Why didn't he do more? I mean, how long did it take to even beg Kamala to go down there and see what was going on?
Well, and you probably know more about this than me, to be honest with you, but from what I understand, this has been his bill within the first 30 days he was elected.
Then why don't we know about that? Why didn't we hear him talking about that?
Because, and you kind of corrected me, but other than the one thing you corrected me on, that's not what Democrats do. We don't blow horns. You know, we walk light and carry big sticks.
Well, then if you don't but then, wait a minute. If you don't want to blow your horn, you can't complain when somebody is crossing the street that they didn't see you. I mean, you gotta let folks know what you're doing. That's one thing that we got to get Trump credit for. Any of Trump's accomplishments, he makes sure you know about it.
And I don't disagree with you, Tim, but unlike some of the people that probably roll the other way, I'm 46. I think you're a couple days older than that.
Yeah.
So we're used to old-time politics where just get it done. We don't need you to beat your chest. Just get it done.
I hear you, but
and another thing about the guy for Trump, and please let me just say this, sir. It was funny that the energy, and what I meant by that is he was all for rolling down to the border and supporting that, and no one should get in, and there's 60 feet walls underground. But we had pew-pew shootings at schools with mass shootings, mass pew-pews at schools, and there's never that energy. No one's talking about let's convoy to the schools and make sure they're safe. So I was always taught what people don't say is what you need to hear.
I disagree with that. In regards to convoys to the schools and making sure they're safe, the right wants to give every teacher a firearm. They do want to use guns to protect the kids.
And I understand your role, Tim, but I'm asking Tim now to have some liberal. What the hell you think about that?
I think it's the most dangerous thing you could ever do. I'll tell you why I think it's dangerous to arm teachers. I went to school on the south side of Chicago. There is a far greater chance of a student and teacher getting into a fight than a mass shooting happening at a school. And if a teacher is getting their ass kicked, it won't be long before teachers end up shooting students. I really think it is one of the worst things you could ever do is to give a teacher a gun.
And I'm from the city just like you. I'm in Indianapolis, just a couple hours away. And I only say that to say they call y'all Chirac. They call us in Afghanistan.
Where are you from again?
That is.
Where are you from again?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. All right.
So we right up the way from each other. So I only say that to say this, that when you in the city, you got city problems.
Yeah.
So a teacher ain't no different from a cop. She see these same kids before they become the monsters sometimes that the police have to encounter. So a lot of teachers, they see these guys at 3rd grade, 4th grade. Yeah, he's a problem. He's going to be a problem, and most times he is. So I say that to say that we come from a different background. So when you ask a lot of times the diversity and things like that, I always say that it's local. I think most law enforcement should be local, because when you live out in the sticks, you know Timmy Jane and John Boy. You know everybody.
City life is a hell of a lot different than country or even suburban life. And that's why the politics are totally different. And people who live in Wyoming don't want to live like New York and vice versa. It's a different lifestyle.
But yeah, I totally agree, man. Like I said, I want to come up here after the Trump guy because I just thought it was ironic that he had so much energy and passion for the border and what this and that and security, but at the end of his soliloquy or with a monologue, he came down to they're going to be Democrat voters. Yeah. So, and
that's true, though.
In my opinion,
that's true.
Yeah, but in my opinion, how can you tell me Trump's not paying politics then?
I don't disagree that Trump's playing politics. I'm just simply saying you can't fault Trump for doing something that was there before he came along. I mean, everybody else is playing politics. He can't win without doing it.
Politics as in a politician, Tim?
He's a typical politician. I don't buy into the argument. Exactly. I got to move it on, though. But I don't buy into the argument.
I love you, brother. I love your show, man.
Appreciate it. Hey, thank you. Appreciate you coming through. All right, moving the program on. By the way, a lot of you folks on YouTube tonight, appreciate you folks that are here. We normally are here at 1 o'clock in the evening, but 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'm doing a night show, and I'm amazed at how many of you folks are here. Smash the like button. I understand. Listen, the program is not always going to have material that you favor. You're going to hear folks you agree with, folks you think are full of shit. But understand the program is based from TikTok. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone on the program. And keep in mind, the program is, drop my prop, but program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are always my preferred guest, but understand when folks come up, we don't censor the comments. We don't block folks. We do believe in free speech. We're going to go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with QAnon. That's how we run the program. So I do appreciate you folks on YouTube. Smash that like button. This is what we do. I see Douche Baggins says MAGA all day. Yikes. Number one, I can't pronounce the rest of that. Says border bill is good. If they are serious about border security, they will pass it. They're more serious about Trump getting reelected. I do believe that. But I do appreciate you folks that are on YouTube. Hit that like button. Going to the comments on TikTok. Trump will take care of all Americans. That is utterly impossible. A nation of 330 million people, various backgrounds and diversity, ethnicities, religions. No president can take care of all people. So that's not going to happen. Certainly when you're getting up there talking about red states and blue states, Trump never intended to do that. Perhaps he wanted to do what he thought was best for the country. We can debate that. But we're going back to the border bill. because a lot of folks are suggesting that, Trump couldn't do anything about the border any more than Biden. I've already given you my take on it, that I think Trump would be eons better at securing the border than Biden, because I don't think Trump would follow the law. I think Trump is so gung ho on securing the nation's border that he would be willing to break the law and deal with the consequences to secure the border. Biden is clearly not going to go down that route. So I do believe Trump would be way better. Looking in the comment section, but nobody can deny that Trump really wanted to protect this country and had the border under control. Protect this country, secure the border are two different issues. They're not always the same. I do believe Trump was gung-ho about protecting the southern border. In regards to protecting this country, I'm not a big fan of the friendship between Putin, the kind words to Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping. We could discuss that on a different playing field, but protecting the border, I do believe Trump was really serious about that. Red G, good evening. Welcome to the program. The bill is a joke. Have you guys read the bill? For folks saying it's a joke, have you read the entire bill? Red G, good evening.
Man, I'm trying to figure out where the left is getting this intelligence complex from. You can't be black and vote for Trump because he's racist. Democrats been racist the whole time. Remember, we were super predators, and if you don't vote for us, we're not black. Guess what? Does anybody know who the first Republican president was?
That's not going to matter at this point.
And he freed the slaves.
Okay, let's be clear. What the Republican Party was in the 1800s is not what it is in 2024. I mean, it's a different. When Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, that went against tradition. What Abraham Lincoln was doing was a progressive thing. Obviously, the progressives are no longer Republicans. That's a whole different mindset. That's centuries ago.
Try to twist it and turn it however we want. The first Republican president freed the slaves.
Okay.
Period.
All right.
Democrats had 40 years on them to do it, and they didn't.
All right.
It's just a fact. That's a fact.
Okay.
These are facts.
Fair enough.
When we got actual black people whose name on TikTok is Truth is Irony, ironically telling you that you're not intelligent if you vote Republican, and there's no way that you can do this with a sound mind. It's crazy, and we just see what Pfizer did, who has the largest criminal fine in history. When we see what they just did to this country, when we see all of the misinformation that is coming from all these institutions.
What do you mean the largest criminal fine in history? Elaborate on that.
The largest criminal fine in history. I'm not allowed to tell you on the app. They will take me down off the app if I tell you what it is. But if you go look at it yourself, you'll see who has the largest criminal fine in history, top 3, and you'll know what the hell they just did again to this country.
All right, I can't speak. Since I don't know it, I can't speak on it. But in regards to Trump, why does he do some of the things he do? Like with the E. Jean Carroll thing, 83 million people are saying that is insane. Why wouldn't he just leave that woman? Why would he keep attacking that woman?
Well, she is attacking him. First of all, she's coming up to him repeatedly. He's an entertainer, so he doesn't understand that he needs to close his goddamn mouth.
Then why hire attorneys if they're speaking a language you don't understand? Why are you even paying them? This Elena Hobbit or this really that woman got her ass kicked. What was the purpose of even hiring her?
I don't try to understand Trump too much. I don't try to understand any of these cats. To me, they're all two sides of the same bad coin. I just find it ridiculous when either side looks at the other one and, you can't be intelligent. This is so bad.
I agree.
Like you said, they're both politicians.
Yeah.
You want to pretend like this shit's not political when the other side does it? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But in regards to that statement about they're both political, I also don't buy into the notion that Trump, after serving a full term, is not a typical politician. I always say you can't be going to prom talking about you're not a typical student. You're about to graduate. You've been through all 4 years of high school. Your ass is a student at this point. I mean, people are still saying Trump is not a politician. You are a politician. You've served an entire term at this point.
I still wouldn't. He's nowhere. He's not even anywhere near close to Biden. 40 years in public office or Hillary. Like
So what are you saying? What are you saying? Obama? So what are you saying? Obama wasn't a politician? He didn't serve 2 years in the Senate.
I don't think that that's a good thing, though. I don't think him not being a politician is a good thing. Like I think while he was in office, that made him very ineffective. And I
Who?
think now that
Which you talking about, Trump?
politics now that he's not in office, but him being able to block bills and tell people what to do, I think that's a bad look for Joe Biden. How is somebody with no power stopping you when you're in the Oval Office? I think that's a bad look.
Well, shit, they're claiming Obama is running office from behind the scenes as well. So I don't know what to say on that. But you are correct. For Trump to be on the sidelines, he does have an incredible amount of power.
So I'm gonna leave it at that. But I love the show. Appreciate you.
Hey, you're always welcome back. So at the end of the day, Trump versus Biden, where's your vote going? He dropped out. I wanted to hear his answer to that. That was a brother. I wanted to hear his answer. I think he was going for Trump. And I say this all the time. I get hammered for saying this, but I believe there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump or Biden, regardless of what your skin color is. There's a lot of things folks feel that are negative about Biden or negative about Trump that may not affect the person that's voting for. I mean, you could be black and some of that shit don't mean nothing to you. You could be white. And so, I mean, for instance, let's talk about the border. A lot of folks believe that Biden needs to be tossed aside because he's horrible at securing the nation's border. There are people in this country that their life is not affected at all in regards to what's happening at the border. You got a good job. You got a nice family. You're living in Billings, Montana. You got a nice house and picket fence. You're not dealing with the shit that's happening at the southern border. Somebody living in Boise, Idaho, they're not dealing with that. It's not affecting everybody. Same thing with racial issues. A lot of folks talking about what, this guy's racist. Some folks, that's not affecting their life at all. They're looking at other issues. So I do believe there are legitimate reasons to vote for both of these individuals, depending on who you are and what your principles are. And I see in the comments, T-Mac says exactly that. The border doesn't bother me. Most Americans live in towns where they're not having border issues. It is as simple as that. You got folks in Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming, talking about how bad the border is because that's a red state. They're getting their anger from TV. That's it. They're not overran with immigrants in Cheyenne, Wyoming, or Casper, Wyoming. They're getting their anger straight out of the damn TV. You got people in rural areas talking about how bad Chicago is. You ain't been to Chicago your entire damn life. Who gives a damn? You don't have tough gun laws where you live. Ain't nobody carjacking around here. Who gives a damn what's happening in Chicago? You don't go there. But that's what happens with the power of the media. The left has media that does it, so does the right. Going back to the box, and I see in the comments, Mac just has Trump, Trump, Trump. I get it. You're a Trump fan. Tap the screen on YouTube. Hit that like button. Not a lot of likes here, but a whole lot of folks. Perhaps what I'm saying is not resonating with anybody on YouTube. But for the folks that are, I appreciate you tapping the like button. Tim, I would love to be a fly on the wall in your voting booth. Says Gen X on YouTube. Wow. Appreciate you switching platforms. All right, let me go back to the box that was holding on. Puff, Pass. I think that's what I just hit. We know where that came from, the movie Friday. Puff. Oh, wait a minute. Did I hit that? So is Chicago a paradise? I had no idea. Well, Chicago is not a paradise, but it's also not Beirut either. If you listen to the right, you would think Chicago is like the Gaza Strip. It's bad on the south and west sides, but it's not bad all over the town. And I've lived in Chicago for 30 years of my life, so I can tell you there are areas of Chicago. Tourism does well in Chicago and things like that. It's not Beirut. If you watch right-wing media, they only show you the violent aspects of Chicago. So it makes sense that folks who watch Fox, OAN, or Newsmax think Chicago is the Gaza Strip because that's all they show you. Looking in the comments, sincerely, Hello Kitty says free Palestine. I think they set that back about 50 years. I think October 7th significantly set back any hopes of freeing Palestine because we know Israel is taking a very heavy-handed approach. So whatever they did, they really set that back. Let me go back to the box. I don't know what happened with my last caller, but let's try it with Puff, Pass again. Real quick in the comments, Biden could secure the border without a bill. The bill is to get more money for Ukraine. Elin Marie, yeah, true, but I do believe that we're playing politics. Hang on a second, Puff, but I do believe we're playing politics so that even if Biden tried to secure the border, I think the argument would be, well, what took you so long? Biden's not going to get any credit securing the border in the fourth quarter. He's not going to get any. In other words, the game is almost over. I don't think his first term is almost over. I don't think the Republicans are going to give Biden any credit, no matter what he does at the border, because I believe this border bill goes a long way. It's not where you want it to, but compared to what he was doing, it's a huge improvement. Puff, puff. Good evening.
Brother, how are you?
I'm doing good.
For a couple things real quick, I want to touch on the guests prior to the couple guests earlier that made some inaccurate statements that I think you agree with too, when he was like, he's a racist because people that are racist support him. He is over a dozen times he's denounced all them groups on national television, town hall, CNN, everywhere. And I think you know that as well. Trump has denounced that.
Let me speak on that. I'm not gonna. Okay, let me speak on that. Obviously, I'm not going to limit your time. I'll let you continue talking, but I just want to interrupt you because you're going to make a few points. First of all, in regards to Trump and denouncing racism and things like that, I look at it the same way Black Lives Matter is. If Black Lives Matter is having a peaceful protest, but somebody breaks a window during the protest, Black Lives Matter is breaking windows. They don't separate the good from the bad. So I want to say, when it comes to judging Trump, Trump has said some really intolerant shit that sounds racist. Like, this guy can't oversee my case. He's a Mexican. How the hell does that work? You're gonna tell me no Mexican can rule over your case? Is that not racist? So Trump has said a bunch of really suspicious shit.
Yeah, I wasn't pointing to that. I was pointing to why he was defining people as how he was defining it to other people, saying even he went to say that if you voted for him and you was black, then you were ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But regardless, I want to talk about the border thing with you. First off, that's a multi-faceted thing, because somebody you commented on, we don't actually even have to pass any new laws to slow the board down. We could actually just enforce the laws we have. We could actually rescind a lot of the things that we already had showed a proven method to slow it down that was rescinded when he came into office through executive order. That could be done, doesn't need Congress. We also had H.R. 2 sitting on the desk since May. And so I think this current bill that we're talking about now is a typical kind of bill we've seen over everything. You'll put a bunch of good stuff in there or decent stuff in there, and you'll put a couple items in that are deal breakers for either side, because they know that no one will ever sign to that. So
what are the deal breakers? Give me some examples the Republicans see as a deal breaker. What's in the bill that's a deal breaker?
So 5,000 a day. It's actually 85 a day unless it's under 25,000 a week. So out the gate, that's all that is for, is just and it's as long as it stays under last year's numbers, so you don't have to call it a crisis.
Right.
So it's a thing to make it work where you don't have to call it a crisis. Also attaching a Ukraine spending bill that's, I think, almost double of what you've allowed for the wall. I think both of them, because that could have been single standalone. Ukraine didn't have to be tied to that at all. So I think that's a good educated guess that them two things alone, that nobody's really going to sign on to 8,500 a day.
Let me respond. Now I'm going to take both of those on. First of all, I do believe the 8,500 number is ridiculous, and I'm even as someone who leans left, I think that's way too high. However, if you look at the 8,500 a day versus what's coming now, is that not an improvement?
It is, but you could do that same exact improvement because
I get it. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not just like with the Ukraine money. If you don't if you vote this bill down, okay, because we think the 8,500 number is too high. You're not a fan of sending money to the Ukraine. If you shoot this bill down, you're going to get more than 8,500, and the Ukraine is still going to be receiving money. So even though it's not going where you want, it's going in the direction where you want things to go. Nothing is going to go in the other direction.
I understand that logic, but I do understand it. It's something is better than nothing. But that's part of the reason where we're at is we pass bad policy because it's something. And I would argue that, putting a Band-Aid on something is a temporary in the now fix because political season, because it's political year. But the aftermath and the downside of that, because, for example, if you look at I can make the same argument for H.R. 2. The part that's in that bill that the Democrats won't sign on for is the change about what asylum laws would be. There's a few changes in, and they made that stricter. Well, if you wanted to compare apples to apples, I think that's the lesser of two evils of the two bills. If we're going to say what's the lesser of the two bills, HR2 is a much better bill. But simple things. If we just did remain in Mexico, if we put that back in place, every scholar across the board of it literally agrees across the board that if we did just that, we would stop up to 60% of the flow right now if we just did that. But the issue is even much bigger than that, Tim, because I watched a live today, a very interesting live today. They had 4 Border Patrols officers on it, 2 current and 2 retired. And it was interesting to listen to the things they said. And honestly, all of them have shared the same opinion. None of it is going to do any good if we don't address the bigger issue and if we don't address the cartel. Because these guys would say they would capture the same guys twice in the same
Let me respond to that. Like, here's my biggest issue with the cartel. Because you hear about fentanyl, this, we need to shut the border down because fentanyl coming. What I don't like, and this is something I had a big problem with Trump on, when he would talk about, the issues illegals do in this country and things like that. The main reason the cartel traffics in humans, traffics in fentanyl, immigrants are coming here, is because of the American demand for all of this stuff. Now, we know, hang on, wait a minute, let me finish. We know folks on the left are not securing the border the way folks on the right would do it and want it to be done. I'm willing to concede that. However, what I don't like is the folks on the right pretend like all of this stuff is the responsibility of people south of the border. The reason all this stuff is happening because there is a huge demand in this country for...
Kind of. Well, there's a part of
Kind
it.
of?
I think you would agree with me if you follow me, okay? There are many people that are dying. I'm to the point that we should quit calling it overdose because there are many people that are dying first time that aren't even aware fentanyl is laced in the product that they have.
I know a lot of folks that I've heard of a lot of folks that are voluntarily taking fentanyl. People like to get high.
I'm not disagreeing that they're not using it rampantly and it's not an addiction problem. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I'm saying is that the level of fentanyl, where fentanyl is showing up now, I mean, we're finding it now in THC, and people have no clue. There's a one-time take gone, and those numbers are becoming very, very high now. But to me, I don't think the approach for fentanyl is the cartel myself. I think sanctioning China for where the
that's still where I have the problem. This is what I keep saying is that you could build a wall 100 feet high. It's kind of like, let's say you got a daughter in your house and you don't want her letting guys in the house. So you put up locks, you put up everything you can to secure your house so she doesn't sneak boys in. If she gets up at 2 a.m. and unlocks the door, it doesn't matter how high the wall is. The problem is, hold on, hang on. The problem is in this country. We want all of that stuff. It doesn't matter how high you build a wall. People in this country want to get high. People in this country want to experience the people that are being trafficked. We want what the cartel has to offer. We are their number one customer. So any restriction or wall you put up, Americans are going to find a way around it because we want that stuff. Until you deal with the actual supply.
But again, if we don't have any kind of solution that's going to make Americans not want it. You would agree with that, right? We don't have anything viable to say what's going to make people not want it.
I don't see the right doing anything about that stuff. Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. We know that immigrants come over here often to work and work under the table. Show me some companies that Trump has profiled, that he has demanded that the company lose their business license or the CEO get arrested for hiring tons of illegals. We know Tyson Foods and a lot of factories and hotels hire these people. I don't see any push to go after American CEOs and American businesses that literally are. Hang on.
You're going to see it in this next election. I think you're going to see it.
If I didn't see it in the first 4 years, I'm not going to trust that it's going to happen in the next. I'm just simply saying, if you want to secure the border, you got to quit ignoring the American co-conspirators. There's a whole lot of Americans that are making a fortune off of these folks. The left likes immigrants because they turn into votes. That's why we don't secure the border. The right likes immigrants because the right is in bed with big business, and big business doesn't want to pay a decent wage, and they can get these people to do it. So it's on both sides. Until I see
I don't disagree with you. It directly affects affects my industry. It affects my industry about as hard as it affects 3 industries basically when we have this massive migration. And I agree with you. Employers take advantage of it all day long, and it's the food industry, the hospitality industry, and the trade industries.
Then why ain't Trump saying something about that? I see all these goals. I see all of these families that are abused by immigrants. He'll parade them on stage. Let me hear him bragging about, well, look, we took down
That's
the.
why I said I think you will start seeing some of that, because some of us on our side, on the Republican, I'm telling you from the Republican side, we also acknowledge it's not going to do a bit of good if you're not going to fix the problem simultaneously.
4 years. It took 4 years to understand that. He's been in office for 4 years. Trump served 4 years. He didn't do that at all. Why not?
Well, I can answer that question for you.
That's a problem.
And justify it.
That's a problem.
I do think you'll see a better push for that. But regardless, even when the Border Patrol was talking about the cartel, because they've expanded much farther than just the drug market. The money they're making off migration from these other countries is insane right now. They're up to $50,000 from some parts of the world to bring them through. So just migrating people over and being in charge of all that, they're making a small fortune on it. And the reason why they were saying it is it's doing no good just to send them back, because they're catching the same people twice in the same day. Literally. Twice in the same day.
Well, in this bill, one of the provisions is they're going to get rid of catch and release. So that would stop happening. You don't favor that?
Well, no, I do favor that. Again, they just put the caveats. It can't. Like you're offering me a nice ice cream cone, but the backside of it, you're putting something that's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth after the ice cream's gone. And again, just putting them back over the border in Mexico isn't solving the problem, because they just turn around and come right back, and they just put them back over again. So it's a revolving door.
So what do you suggest if you catch somebody coming in the country illegally? You throw them in prison?
I think you do a couple. I think you detain them, just like when Obama was in office. We detained 85% of people that applied for asylum and did not parole them. We now parole 85% of them under this administration.
So let me ask you this, because this is coming from YouTube. Winston Churchill, by the way, says, what came out of a report stating that they believe it's closer to 22 million illegals that are here right now. And he said over the last 3 years, and he's suggesting that it's too late because they're here already and they're going to end up being given citizenship. If Trump became the commander in chief, do you think he could get all of those folks that are here right now waiting for asylum or here illegally? Do you think he would get most of them out of the country?
No, I think the biggest downfall that he will do, and he's leaning like he is, and I disagree with it, I think he's going to have a mass deportation, and I think that's not going to go over well. I think that I would have liked when he was offering amnesty, and he offered a chunk. If you remember in 2017, he even upped the ante that he wanted when we had Dreamers and we wanted to make them permanent. He even doubled the DACA numbers, and they wouldn't accept it because we do that political football thing that gives you a win. We can't accept it. He doubled DACA. You know what they wanted. He doubled it. But we forget about talking about them things like that. I personally think, because honestly, Tim, me and you both know that there is no motivation in solving this issue. We could have e-verified this system. You could be vetted in other countries. You could treat it like we treat our unemployment offices here. If they was coming here to work, you could apply like we do here in America. If you're unemployed, you can go to the unemployment office. You can say, I'm a carpenter. This is what I do. An employer calls up and says they need a carpenter. They hook you up.
But I had one special difference. I agree with you that there's no true desire to solve this problem on both sides of the aisle. But up until basically today, I have always said that Trump was the first president in our lifetime that truly did believe in solving the border crisis. But now that we know he's fighting against this bill, which would move the enforcement a little bit in the direction he wants, the fact that he's fighting against this, I'm at this point now where I don't even think Trump is serious about border security, because
no, I just think to the constituents. I think he agrees with persons like myself that 8,500 a day is ridiculous.
But here's where I'm confused. You and I agree 8,500, that number's ridiculous. It should be lower. But you and I also agree that without this, the number's going to be significantly higher. So even though we don't like the 8,500 number, that's still far closer to what you want.
I would push back and say the number would be significantly higher temporarily. With the other bill, that number is locked in there at that bill. But if you don't sign on to that bill, you can pass other legislation that doesn't allow anything near 85 a day.
No, if you pass this bill and Trump gets reelected, then you pass another one to lower it even more.
But you got to pass it. This is. But again, this locks it in, and so I do disagree. I do agree that this bill shouldn't pass.
So you get pissed off at the 8,500 number. So you don't pass this bill and you let it remain at 20, 30,000 for the foreseeable future. That doesn't make sense to me.
I get it. I get it. We can agree to disagree. I just think this thing has the potential, because for me, I read it on its face. It's like this whole bill is written to avoid one thing, so that you can't call it a crisis at the border anymore. So you can't blame a crisis on any political party that's in there.
You can say whatever you want. I mean, look, Trump, people swear up and down like you do. Trump's not racist. That don't stop people from saying it. It doesn't matter if he can say it's a crisis or not. I mean, if you think it's a crisis, right now the economy, virtually every financial analysis is saying the economy, for the most part, has been restored. That ain't stopping people from saying it's still shit. I mean, you can still say whatever you want. There's nothing stopping you from saying it. So I don't.
I agree, but I make the same push, Tim. We've had a bill on Chuck Schumer's desk since May.
I'm not disagreeing with all of that.
The same logic you're using now is that, that was something better than nothing, but that don't go anywhere. But we're in a political year, and all of a sudden we need to pass something right now. We had the same problem in May.
Like I said, what I don't get is we're saying that the border is so messed up, we need to do something now. And they come up with something and you say, well, it's not exactly what I want, so I'm going to leave it where it is. When you and I both agree what is currently happening without the bill is 10 times worse than the bill itself. The 8,500 number is too high. We agree. But we know without the bill, that 8,500 number is going to be multiples of that. It makes no sense to go with that.
Hey, can we clarify for the audience, because I keep seeing them both try to correct me and you about the 8,500. It is $8,500 a day. The reason y'all are having 5,000 is consecutive days. There's a cap on a week's time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I got. Because I did.
And 3,000 tomorrow.
Yeah, I did. I'm gonna have to move it on, but I'll give you the last word. But I did a bullet point on it, and what I wrote down is, the bill allows a trigger to close the border without authorization if the daily spike exceeds 8,500 or a weekly average of 5,000. So yeah, it is 8,500 for one day. But if it's averaging 5,000 per week for a week straight, they can still close it down. But the spike is 85.
So, my last word, I'll just say that I do agree with you that Biden waited too late in the game to get a win out of this. He loses either side of the fence no matter which way he goes, because he waited too late in the game. He made a political move to wait this long in the game to do this. I go back to my original thing. We already have laws on the books that we could enforce now, that we don't even need to pass any legislation. We don't need any bipartisan. We don't need anything. We already have laws on the books, and we already have things that we could use. And I'm saying, and even the Border Patrol say the same thing. Enforce what we have.
No. Wait. The Border Patrol was widely in favor of this bill. They've already
I agree, because they want something done, because I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying the Border Patrol say still, and have been saying, that if you would just let us enforce the laws on the books, we wouldn't be anywhere in the position we are right now.
Right.
They're already on the books.
That's fine with the enforce the law on the books, but don't ignore the fact that they think turning this bill down is a bad idea. But I do got to move it on, Puff.
Because they need help. Yes, we need more judges. We need more Border Patrol. Yes.
All right.
So they would say that.
Okay.
Just wrap me up, man.
Appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments. And by the way, for you folks that are on YouTube, I do appreciate you folks that are smashing that like button. It does help out the algorithm. The program is always MAGA friendly in its entirety. It is and always will be MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. What do I say? We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So get that we will have opinions that go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with QAnon. We allow folks to speak. It's all about free speech. Looking in the comments, Border Patrol wants the money. We just don't want the rest of the pork. You're not going to get a perfect bill. I hate to say it, but if you get Trump in office, he's going to put things in the bill that the liberals are not going to be in favor of. It's not going to be a smooth bill. And if Trump does not have the numbers in the Senate and in Congress, it's going to be the same shit. This is why I don't get where there are things in this bill that folks don't like, but at the same time, you're admitting the bill moves the cart down the road, at least in the direction of my house. No, it doesn't take you all the way to your house. It's like having an Uber show up. I don't go to your neighborhood, but I am heading about 2 miles in that direction. You can ride with me these 2 miles and walk the rest of the way, or you can walk it from here. It doesn't make any sense. And as I also stated earlier in the program, and I will go back to the box, the biggest gamble in this is that you're hoping that, okay, we get rid of this bill because you think the bill's a piece of shit, and then we get Trump in and he'll fix things in the bill. That the gamble you're taking is that Trump has to win. Because if Trump doesn't win, the bill you're turning down now, you're not even going to get that back. Most folks will admit Biden is nowhere near as gung-ho on securing the border as Trump. So if you turn this bill down and Trump loses, you're going to be dying for the day to come back where you can get just this bill. Damn, what did it say? I would love to have some mean tweets and $2 gas. I got pissed off about the mean tweets, so I got rid of this guy, and all of a sudden I'm paying $5 for gas. That works in reverse. I got pissed off at the 8500 number, and so I got rid of the bill, and now I'm dealing with 15,000. So you're taking a big, big gamble that Trump has to win and save the day. If he loses, you're not going to get what's in this bill back. It's not going to come back because Biden don't have to worry about running for a second term, and he can pack the country. And I'm going to say this, that this will probably piss off some of my liberal fans, but he can pack the country with liberals. And for you folks who are concerned with replacement theory, good luck with that. All right, looking at comments. I do appreciate you folks on TikTok. I haven't asked you to tap the screen, but on TikTok, tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000. Is it true they have billions of dollars in that bill for Ukraine and Israel? Yes. Yes, it is. It's also true that during the Republican debate, when the moderator asked all of those folks, it was the governor of North Dakota, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, Ron DeSantis, all when it was the full stage of them. The moderator asked them, if you were commander-in-chief, would you support the Ukraine? They all raised their hand. The Republican Party, with the exception of my beloved MAGA, are in favor of supporting the Ukraine. So even if you get Trump back in office, there's no guarantee of money. I don't know how he's going to do it, but even most Republicans believe that Russia is a threat to NATO and other NATO member states in the region. So I don't know if you get Trump back, if we're going to let the Ukraine just succumb to Russia. I'm not for sure of that. Looking in the comments, Biden getting kickbacks. Show the evidence. Going to the box, Bronco. Good evening, Bronco. Level 8. 160 billion reasons I'm voting for Trump. Okay, good luck with that. Bronco, good evening.
Hey, bud.
I don't know what happened to your signal there, Bronco, but go ahead and try to come back in. I'll bring you back up. I understand, folks, sometimes the folks drop out, or there is occasional censorship. Fortunately, not at this late hour, but sometimes the TikTok gods does censor some of the guests. Understand your host, I don't censor anyone. I think I've been doing this for 3 years almost. I think I've taken 2 people out. I do believe in free speech. Even if you're tearing the host a new one, I strongly believe in free speech. So you're never going to see me taking folks out. Going back to the box, we'll try again with Bronco. I think this is a pre-recorded video. Okay, well, I'm reading your answer in the past. No, probably not even, what did I say? No, probably not even under Trump. There will still be funding fueled Ukraine. Yeah, I agree. Are you there?
Hey, I'm here, man.
Okay,
I
go.
love you, man.
Thank you.
You are the best.
Appreciate. Oh wow, I appreciate that this evening.
I just want to ask you one question.
Sure.
Do you know who 50 Cent is?
The rapper?
Yeah, 50 Cent.
Yeah, everybody knows. What about him?
Okay, do you know who Nicki Minaj is?
Yes, I do. Yeah. What you getting at?
Do you know who Snoop Dogg is?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg recently spoke positively of Trump. What about him?
Okay. Do you know who Michael Rappaport is?
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're getting at. Keep going.
Okay. What do you think about that?
Well, I think Snoop Dogg is not going to vote for Trump. I think Snoop Dogg spoke positively of Trump, but I don't believe Michael Rappaport's going to vote for him either. What was the other? Nicki Minaj. I'd have to hear. I haven't heard Nicki Minaj talk about Trump, but who knows? But if they are voting for Trump, they ain't gonna say that shit out loud.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you know who Harry Sisson is?
No,
You don't know who Harry Sisson is?
no. Let me ask you a few questions. Do you know who Mike Pence is?
Who?
Mike Pence.
Mike Pence?
Yeah.
I think he was the vice president for Trump, right?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Chris Christie?
Yeah, he's a fat fucking piece of shit.
Okay, I don't want you to get banned. I'm not going to censor you for anything, but
No,
understand.
I'm not getting banned, but I'm just giving my
Okay.
opinion.
I don't think I don't think his weight is of any concern, but I mean there's people who might think that I'm a fat piece of shit. I'm overweight. So is Trump. So I'm not going to speak
So
on
am I.
it. Yeah, so
So much.
yeah, so let's not
I'm
throw
59 years old. I'm 6'1" and weigh 224.
all right, I'm 6'6" and I weigh 300 pounds. Let's not throw stones in glass houses. But have you ever heard of this guy, Attorney General Jim Barr?
Yeah, he's another fat piece of garbage.
What? Okay, if Mike Pence, well not Mike Pence, if Chris Christie and Attorney General Barr, Chris Christie, another good book by the way. I would recommend this book, but
I would put my money on Barr because Chris Christie is a piece of bacon.
but if you think these two folks are quote unquote a piece of shit, any idea why Trump employed them, spoke highly of them? Why did he do that?
Probably because these politicians are fucking garbage, and Chris Christie and Bill Barr are fucking garbage.
But would you agree that Trump's hiring practices might also be fucking garbage? I mean, he's not vetting people; he's hiring garbage. I mean, do you hold him accountable for making?
Let me put it to you this way: in 9 months, we are going to have President Trump as the
But you didn't answer the
You
question.
got to deal with that.
Okay, that's fine, but you didn't answer the question. Trump is hiring people that you think is a piece of garbage. You don't hold his hiring practices accountable?
No, and another thing is this what's her name? That stinky bitch.
Okay, I'm gonna have to listen, dude, wait, hold on.
Just for that
Hold on.
53 million. She will not see a dime.
Okay, let me make something clear, dude. Like I said, I'm not trying to censor you, but calm down with the passion, man. You don't have to start talking about people's weight and calling them B-word. Try to avoid that. Just simply put, the TikTok gods are above me and they may ban you in the whole damn show. So try to avoid the personal attacks. But at the same time, you're telling me, even though Trump hired a lot of folks that you think are garbage, you don't fault him at all for hiring the people.
No, not at all.
So how do you know he's not going to do? How do you?
Our 47th president, and you guys need to deal with it.
Okay, if he becomes.
Hillary Clinton is a witch. Barack Obama is a fucking terrorist.
Okay, look, I'm gonna have to move it on, man. I'm asking you to stop doing it, and you won't listen. You don't have to call folks out of their name. If you think the guy is garbage, you can say that. But all these tyrants you're going on.
Talked together before, and I've told you what I thought.
I don't have a problem with that.
Waited patiently to get on your live. This is what's going to happen when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. this coming up election, you liberals are going to fucking cry and talk about this guy for 4 years.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. If we get him in office and folks start using the names you're using, you don't see that as a reason to make people outraged. I mean, you're saying some pretty harsh things about people. Did I lose you? Oh, okay. I don't. Are you there? Okay, I don't know what's going on. All right, we'll move it on. Bronco, I can hear you there, but the box is not showing you. But we'll move it on. I don't know what was going on there, but look, I make it clear on the program, folks. I don't block, ban, or censor anybody. You don't have to agree with the host. I will never. That is a solemn promise. I will never expect you to agree or disagree with me. I don't have any problem with you getting on the program and telling me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. We can debate, we can talk about the issues, but when it gets to the point where you're just throwing blatant insults all over the place and we're not really getting anywhere, that needs to stop. That simply needs to stop because it can harm the program and all of a sudden none of us can talk because we're getting banned from things that really add nothing to the conversation. So it is what it is, but I'll let the man speak. The man is welcome back to the program, but I would ask him and other folks that tune in, let's try not to go down that route. You can say these people are crap with a better choice of words. Look it in the comments on YouTube. Do you wipe or let it crust? There you go. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. It adds nothing to the program at all. And that individual, do you wipe or let it crust? Type that half dozen times. Different audience at night. Understand when we run the typical time we run the program is we're on Monday through Friday at noon to 1 p.m. is when we run the show. And it's more civilized than my last caller or wipe and let it crust type stuff. So some of these folks are probably up finishing off the last of some Jack Daniels or something like that, and they get online and say crazy stuff. Patriot, good afternoon or good evening. I'm used to saying good afternoon. Patriot, that's at 15. The best of MAGA, says Ollie. Yeah, that certainly didn't come across well. Patriot, good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing good. You got a loud background, man. You got a TV on or something?
Yeah, let me turn it down.
Sure. So
I keep the news on all the time.
Same. I got CNN running behind right now with King Charles having cancer, so I do the same thing. So what do you think about the border bill?
Well, I mean, personally, everybody's got an opinion, but I don't like it. I don't think it does justice. 5,000, and then you shut the border down. I mean, where is that correcting the problem at? I mean, we're in a crisis right now. New York's falling apart. Chicago's falling apart.
Well,
I mean,
here's the problem. First of all, you started out by saying we're in a crisis. Do you think people that are in Boise, Idaho, think that we're having an immigration crisis in their city? I mean, is this really affecting Americans in every city in the country? I mean, there's a lot of people who are not dealing with immigrants. I mean, Chicago, and let's be real, what's going on in Chicago and what is going on in New York is not due to what's going on at the border. That is a manufactured crisis or manufactured chaos by the governor of Texas, deliberately focusing all the immigrants into a handful of cities. There's a lot of sanctuary cities out there. He chose one or two of them and literally focused all of the people in that town. Or those towns, mainly New York and Chicago. So while I agree we need to do something about the border, what's going on in Chicago and New York has nothing to do with the border. That has more to do with Governor Abbott of Texas. That was done by design.
well, it was. I mean, Governor Abbott's, I believe, personally, of course, I am a Republican. You can see that. But
Nothing wrong with that.
Everybody's got their own opinion.
True.
Democrats, right. Republicans. I just feel this. I feel that the president we have right now has literally basically trying to destroy our country. I believe that he's trying to start a civil war. And I believe that if he does, there's going to be millions of Americans killed. Not like the first one. And I mean, it's really close.
Let me ask you that. In regards to the Civil War, we know the first one was the North versus the South. We know what it was for. What would be who would be the teams in the second Civil War? It wouldn't be
I
North.
believe that it'd be 25 Republican states against the Democrats, and I believe that everybody that's in the North that supports the South will migrate down there, and I think it's going to be nasty because I think both of us can agree on one thing. I'm active duty U.S. Marine, by the way.
Thank you for your service.
You're more than welcome.
Appreciate it.
I believe that it's going to be the worst devastation that our country has ever seen if this takes place. And you know, like Texas has got the keg and they're sitting on it. If somebody strikes a match and accidentally gets too close to the fuse, it's going to be horrible.
But here's the issue. You mentioned the South and people coming and fighting on behalf of the South. You do realize in modern day, the South is loaded with minorities that are not going to identify with your cause. I mean, cities like Houston and Dallas and Memphis and St. Louis, they're not going to be rolling with you. What do you do with all those minorities in those big cities like that are not going to be down with the cause?
I mean, in every city, there are going to be different people on different sides. And see, that's what I was kind of leaning towards. If you remember the Civil War that we was in, it was brother fighting brother, father fighting father. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. If you go back and read it, it was like, I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look it up, but it was in the hundreds of thousands of people that lost their life in Virginia.
But that's the question I'm asking. Now we know the Civil War was over slavery and secession. What would be the goal of a second Civil War? What I mean, obviously you want the border protected, but I mean you're fighting the North to do what? What do you want from the? Why are you trying to beat the North? What would you be fighting for?
Well, you know, I think what we'd be fighting for is because our government right now is against the American people. They are. I mean, a lot of people might not agree with that, and I respect that. But they are. They're trying to destroy our country. I mean, we got 10 million migrants in our country. You know how many 10 million is? That's like 3 cities, 4 cities more, man. I mean, that's 4 more states. Where are they all at? They're in all the states. But the problem is they don't want to come to a state that's not sanctuary because they'll get locked up.
Yeah.
These sheriffs in these Republican states is not buying it.
So what happens? Now, if let's say we get Trump, November, if he wins in November, he'll become president in January. This time next year, Trump will be 2-3 weeks in office. What do you think he would do? Because by that point, if, like, for instance, this border bill that you guys are in favor of shooting down, by shooting this border bill down, you're going to guarantee a lot more immigrants are going to come in the country between now and November if Trump gets elected than they would have had if you had accepted the bill. So let's say there's 30 million in the country now. People believe whatever number you want to say is in the country now. You got to assume there's going to probably be 10 to 15% more of them in the country by the time Trump gets elected or whatever. What do you think he's going to do? Tens of millions of people here. How do you get them people out?
Oh, it's going to be difficult. I mean, it's going to be this is going to be the most significant election and the most significant trying to remove people that's here illegal that we've ever seen. It is going to be horrible trying to do that and doing it the right way. Okay.
What is the right way?
Well, you know, listen, I don't agree with Trump on a lot of things. Okay. But here's what I do agree with him on. I do believe that he will put our country back on top to be first again. He did do that.
No. Let me say this, and I'm not gonna limit your time, but when folks say putting the country, when people say putting the country back on top to be first at what? We don't give health care out. We're getting kids shot in schools. We got homelessness. Our life expectancy, our children in math scores. First at what?
Well, that's the whole problem. See, you said the whole thing right there. That's the problem we have.
But we had 4 years of after 4 years of Trump. When Trump left office, there was no way when he left office after serving 4 years in president, he could say, "Well, we're now first." We weren't first in any of that stuff after he served a whole term, and we weren't close to it.
Our military was on top.
There's more to
Booming.
yeah, but there's more to life than the military. Most of the countries that do rank higher than us don't spend all that money on the military. That's why their citizens live longer and they're not dying and getting shot everywhere. We're focusing all the money in the military.
I mean, I agree with that. I guess I'll be a little bit biased because I'm in the military. You know what I mean? I mean, we ain't nothing but machines, dude. All we are is killers. We go kill. We don't question it. I mean, we're just.
Is that a good thing?
Government.
Is that a good thing?
Well, I mean, we gotta defend our country. Would you agree? We're not there. What's going to happen?
I agree with you 100% that we have to defend our country, but at some point it's just like with what Israel's doing to Gaza. At some point it becomes overkill. We have 12 aircraft carriers. Our nearest rival has 2. We have thousands of nuclear weapons. We have bases on every continent. Nobody is close. At some point, it is overkill. You got plenty of nations that are living a free life, doing very well, that don't spend so much money on the military. At some point, it's a waste.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess a lot of people would believe that. I don't, of course, but a lot of people would believe that. You know, you know, we're really not supposed to be political, okay? I don't care which side it is. If one side's having problems, I will be right there to protect them too. It don't matter what you are. It don't matter what color you are. You can be purple, and we're still going to defend your life, period. I mean, we don't see people as, we're just going to, shoot them down. But now that's not how we see people. You know what I mean? Our American people, we want to protect them. Every single damn one of them. We don't want to see none of their lives.
But you're talking about the military. You're not talking about MAGA or the Trump administration.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about MAGA. You know, even though I'm a Republican, I still understand what's going on.
Okay.
You know, this third party thing, are you, a little bit familiar with it?
Are you talking about no labels with Joe Manchin and which third party are you talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. No labels.
All right.
With Joe Manchin and all them.
That's not going anywhere.
See, they're going to get in there and they're going to disrupt the entire program.
Yeah, they're going to get in there and fuck something up. That's about all they're going to do. They're not going to win. But yeah, they're going to get in there and fuck something up. But at the end of the day, they're not going to win.
Oh, no, we know that. But see, what they're going to do is they're going to mess one or the other party up. You can believe that. I don't know which one. It could lean either way. They shouldn't even be doing it. Okay? Because they have no chance whatsoever of accomplishing anything but something bad. You know what I mean? Let the election run with the two parties. Whoever wins, they win. If Joe Biden wins, I don't like him. You know, I mean,
but in regards to the two, let's say it's a Trump versus Biden rematch. Do you think that the criminal charges Trump is facing, you think that stuff is going to hurt him in any way? You think he'll die? You think he's going to beat all of that stuff?
They're not going to be able to do anything to a former or to a ex-setting president. They're just not going to do it.
They've already wait. When you say they're not going to, they've already raided the man's house. He owes 83.3 million to Eugene Carroll. They already are doing things to him. What do you mean? He has a mugshot, for Christ's sakes. They're doing tons of things to him that you thought would never happen.
That's true. I agree with you 100%.
So I'm with you. We would have thought this would never happen, but at the same time, we didn't think Roe v. Wade would get rolled back. There's a ton of things that are happening that we never would have thought happened, but yeah, they done already broke the mold on Trump in a number of ways. I mean, the guy has first president with a mugshot. Come on now. So anything is possible after that.
That's true. That's very true. And what that's doing, it's opened the Pandora box for horrible things to happen in this country when you go after presidents like that. Now, if he gets into office, what do you think he's going to do? Tell me, what do you think he's going to do now?
Well, he ain't known for taking the high road. So what you're indicating is he's going to play revenge and do the same things that was done to him to other people.
He's going to come after them people with vengeance because of what they done to him. And literally, I don't blame him. If somebody
Wait.
I would definitely come after him.
Why would you want to, if a president is being mistreated and, as you say, setting a bad precedent for this country, why would you want to elect another person following up the bad guy to do all of the same bad things back in reverse? I mean, you seem like you want it to end. Why would you want to elect another guy that's going to do the same things you thought were evil to begin with?
We have no choice but to elect one of them because they're both going to be there.
No,
So what do we do?
You could have elected Vivek. You could have elected Ron DeSantis. You didn't have to choose Trump. You still got Nikki Haley on deck. You don't have to pick Trump.
Yeah, but, like I said, I'm a Republican. I'm going to always back them. But here's the thing. The MAGA movement right now and the American people, they feel sick about a lot of things. I mean, when you go to the restaurant, and I myself have gone to a restaurant on base, and it's just as expensive there as it is out here.
I don't.
It's horrible, man. A hamburger costs you $10 at McDonald's almost.
How do you think Trump? Let me ask you. How do you think Trump could bring down the price of hamburgers? What do you think he would do?
Well, it's going to be difficult to ever get the prices back to where they are. We can forget about that.
Yeah.
But there is little things that you can do to ease it on the American people. I mean, I don't know if you work or not, but
Yeah.
do
Hell
you
yeah,
have
I
to carry
work.
2 jobs to support yourself?
No, I don't.
Most Americans aren't.
Yeah, but that ain't something unique to Biden. Hell, even George Bush was talking about it's very American to work 2 jobs. I mean, during the Trump administration, even though folks favored his economy, it wasn't like people were living in mansions. I mean, the minimum wage did not go up under Trump. People were still hurting under healthcare was not great under Trump. People weren't bragging. I mean, we favored the price at the pump and a few things under the Trump administration, but it's not like Americans were living high off the hog under the guy.
Well, I see that your chat doesn't know too much about me, so they need to keep their comments to themselves because they got to be cowards for saying that. They don't want to face me. I know that much. So they should stop that.
I gotta move it on, but I would ask that don't pay attention to the comment section. It's late, man. People say all kinds of crazy things about me. It's kind of what happens. But look, you're always welcome back on the program, Patriot. Is this our first time talking?
Yes, it is. I usually don't get on here because it's kind of dangerous for me to do so.
Yeah.
But however, I'd like to ask you one more question before we part.
Sure.
If somebody was coming after you, doing all those things to you, and putting you through all that stuff, but yet you feel that this is not right to you, how would you feel?
It's a good question. Listen, I've been profiled. I've been pulled over by bad cops and things like that. I believe that the best way out of a lot of things is often de-escalation. And I strongly believe even if let's say I accept everything you're saying. They never gave Trump a chance from day one, and they always even if I was to buy into that, I do believe Trump would have had a hell of a lot of less grief if he had de-escalated things. The E. Jean Carroll case is a perfect example. She was able to win a sexual assault civil judgment for $5 million. Okay, that is lunch money to Trump. Give the
He got billions.
huh?
He got billions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying when I say de-escalation. Okay, you lost $5 million to the chick. Deny you ever known her. Listen, I wish her the best. She won some money from me that was bullshit, and let it be. Yeah. All of the what do they call it? The defamation that he did that ended up costing him $83 million. That ain't necessary. So when you say that Trump is not being given a chance, a lot of it is because of his mouth. if he was to de-escalate things, like you said, what would I do if everybody was coming after me like that? If it's entities that actually have power to ruin my life, like judges that are telling you to shut up in court and shit like that, I would realize it's not in my best interest to keep doing it. And Trump is not doing that. A lot of the wounds that Trump has are self-inflicted. His own attorney has testified that she told him the documents they're asking you for, if you don't give them back, it is a crime. Why wouldn't he listen to that? So then when they come to his house and they serve a search warrant, or you guys are unfairly targeting me, your own lawyer is telling us that she told you need to give this back or you're committing a crime. Why would he commit all of these self-inflicted wounds?
Right. Okay, well, Trump does have a problem talking. He
Well,
doesn't hold what he thinks back. That's true.
And that comes with consequences.
Okay, if Trump hadn't never run for president, do you know none of this stuff would have ever happened? It wouldn't even be heard of. You wouldn't even hear about him. Nothing.
I don't disagree with that, but I would counter by saying if Obama didn't run for president, you would never be saying he was born in Kenya. Hillary Clinton wouldn't be drinking the blood of infants. Joe Biden wouldn't be sleepy or sniffing kids. That's part of the game, man. I'm just saying that's part of the game. You think anybody would give a damn about Hunter Biden if his father wasn't president? I mean, it's right. It's part of the game.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
All this shit that's going on is pure political.
Yeah.
Both sides are playing political war.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is they're trying to start a damn war because they don't know they don't have enough sense to stop doing it. They want to fight each other. They don't care about us, really.
I hope you're wrong, but you might be right. But I got to move it on, Patriot. Listen, anytime you see me on, listen, don't worry about your politics. You always be talked to with respect here. Come on back through anytime, man.
Well, much respect to you, sir.
Absolutely.
You have a good night, and God bless you.
Same to you, brother. Same to you, brother. Looking in the comments, that's BS. It's all racist, says Grilla. Listen. Look, I'm not going to play the Nikki Haley route and say that this country don't have a hell of a lot of racism in its past and even in its present, but there comes a time when just simply yelling out the racism word does not propel us forward. Call racism out when you see it. I'm not disagreeing with that, but you can't label everything that. I mean, if we're talking about moving forward, understand that there are times when it's just simply not the call to make. And I'll leave it at that. Looking in the comments, J.R. Swift says, everyone trolls. A lot of them do. 2% government has to control 98% of the population. United we stand, divided we fall. 98% united. You'll never have 98% of the country united. We could get rid of all of government and a division would happen among the people. Keep in mind the reason we have big government in this country is because the people treated each other like shit. That's where it came from. Imagine if you got rid of big government and gave it back to the people, left things as states' rights. How would that work for the LGBT community? How would it work for black people? Big government was developed because leaving people to their own devices let people treat other people like shit. Even in the labor world, before we had big government, EPA, OSHA, and all these, how were the corporations acting when you left them to their own devices? They had fucking kids working in factories, using them as canaries in coal mines and all of that stuff. So this is one reason why myself, who leans left, and a lot of other liberals are not big fans of getting rid of big government and going back to states' rights. States' rights has a horrible history, particularly if you're a minority. So I'm not necessarily a fan of just, look, government all bad, people all good. Now, there's some really bad people in this country, too. You need checks and balances. I admit 100% that there's a lot of corrupt government officials. I agree with that 100%. But there's also a lot of corrupt, average, everyday citizens. A lot of them. I'm sure you've heard about the monopoly law where you used to have companies form a monopoly. You know what the game monopoly is all about. That's based on real life. So without big government stepping in and breaking up monopolies, you think you'd have fair pricing and things? No, you'd have one company owning everything and would tell you if you don't like it, starve. So I'm not a fan of just going straight to small government and pretending like the people left to their own devices are going to do what's right, because history shows that's not the case. They started enslaving folks. The LGBT community would slowly disappear. And I don't even want to know what's going on with women and their choices at this point. I mean, the history of this country under states' rights is not good. It is not good. At least not for everybody, it's not. So I'm not a fan of it. But looking in the comments, Biden taking care of illegals better than us true Americans. Nobody really took care of the damn true Americans. And before I go back to the box, I get the point that it should be America first. You shouldn't be taking care of illegals or other countries before Americans. I get that argument. It's a legitimate argument to make. However, it's not based on any historical reality in this country whatsoever. Go back before the Ukraine war. Go back before the Biden administration, Trump administration, Obama administration, and the chaos at the border. Go back before all of that. Now show me all the people that were being taken care of when the money was actually here and not in the Ukraine, not going to Israel. Show me the people that were being taken care of. There was homelessness. We still were trying to get people off welfare by force. We still were not a fan of giving citizens health care. Didn't nobody have universal health care back then? And nobody was interested in giving it to them. So the idea that we should go back to America first makes me ask the obvious question. When did we ever give a damn about that? And I can even separate it by parties by simply suggesting everything that would help out Americans that are on the lower end of the socioeconomic scale. Republicans are against that stuff. Let's take something like universal health care. When it was coming out under Obamacare, Republicans were against that, even though overwhelmingly the people that would be helped by that would be Americans. What happened to taking care of Americans first? There was no money going to the Ukraine back then. There was no love for giving actual Americans health care. Obviously, right now, there's tuition forgiveness. Overwhelmingly, the people that will be helped by that are Americans. Show me where you want to help out Americans. Same thing with welfare, food stamps, giving kids free lunch in schools. Republicans are against all of that. So it makes no sense when you're yelling out, stop helping the Ukraine, take care of Americans first, when we know you're against all of that shit. So I have to ask the question, what do you mean by taking care of Americans first? Is there anyone out there that, let me give you a scenario, anybody out there that believes this? Let's say the Ukraine was able to get the Russians out of their country. They got their wheat and fuel export markets back up and running, began exporting back with Eastern and Western Europe, started making money, and was able to repay all of the financial toll they placed on America and NATO. So we got all of our money back from the Ukraine. Is there anyone out there that think their life would change if we got all that money back? Is there anyone out there that think the government would do anything for you if we got all that money back? Remember, take care of Americans first. Don't get the money to the Ukraine. Is there anyone that believes that if we got that money back, it would help you out in any way, fashion, or form? So the argument that we should take care of Americans first, if you look at actual history, is an empty promise. Because there is no point in American history where we were actually doing that. We've never been doing it. We have always been against anything that Americans need. Like I mentioned, whether it is food stamps, whether it's welfare, whether it's tuition forgiveness, simply giving students an additional 2 years of school. Many folks have proposed that we need to have a more educated society. So after people graduate from high school, they should get another 2 years of community college, free. The Republicans are hopefully against that. That would help out predominantly Americans. What happened to taking care of Americans first? So I don't see it. I don't see it. The argument is empty. I get that it should happen that way, but the people telling me that we should do that have no history of supporting anyone that wants to do that. And I'll leave it at that. Looking in the comments, our country is about good against evil, wrong against right for this country. Really? This country was founded. I'm going to piss off a few people by saying this, but The country was founded on evil. And I'm not even talking about slavery, what they did to the Native Americans. The country was founded on evil. What do you mean good versus evil? The country was founded by people who spoke about the need to do good while actively committing atrocities and doing evil. It was founded that way. Whether we talk about the Native Americans, minorities, women, and taking all of those groups out, we're talking right now about the border. Fact is, every single group of people that have tried to migrate to this country have been faced with stiff resistance. Not just the folks coming from the southern border. It happened to the Italians. It happened to the Polish. It happened to the Chinese. They didn't even let the Jewish come over to this country right after they were dealing with a Holocaust. They kept them away. So we have never been immigrant friendly. This is nothing new. This country has never been immigrant friendly at all. You hear a lot of folks counter the African American slave trade with the Irish slave trade, which, and listen, I have a different opinion on whether Irish slaves existed at all, but we know they were treated like shit when they came to this country. So we have never been immigrant friendly. And if you ask yours truly, it's because we operate on the principle of it takes one to know one. I know what I would do if I was an immigrant going to another country. Therefore, I don't trust immigrants coming to my country. That's how I strongly believe America operates. We know what we did when we came here to the natives in this country, so we figure that anybody coming here is going to do that to us because we know how we operate. A thief is the last person that will trust anybody because a thief knows that I'm capable of stealing, so he probably going to steal from me too. That's how America thinks. We don't trust no one because we know we have acted in some very untrustworthy ways. Don't believe me? How many Second Amendment supporters do you hear that suggest if you took away guns, you'd have a tyrannical government, we'd be invaded by another country, and neighbor would rise against neighbor and people would be robbing me so that I can't take care of my family? Most folks in this country believe that if they didn't have a gun, the country would just turn into a nation full of monsters. The only thing that stops everybody from rising up and killing everybody is the fact that I got a gun on my hip or an AK on my closet shelf. We actually do think like that in this country. The moment you start talking about taking away the Second Amendment, people start talking about everybody's going to turn to somebody evil. Tyranny, an invasion, or my neighbor's going to kill me. I need a gun because everybody wants to harm me. That's the way we think in this country. So it makes sense that we are very untrustworthy of anyone because we have that mindset that everybody is out to get us, when in reality, it's not going to be popular when I say this, but when in reality, we have been doing this to everyone else. We've talked about every single war we've been in as a measure of fighting against freedom. Yet since World War II, just about every conflict we've been in has involved us taking the freedoms away from other people. We haven't been fighting for our freedom. We've been literally, when we went to Afghanistan, there were no threat to our freedom. We went over there telling them women should be able to do this, or we believe this should happen in your country. It should be capitalism. We're telling them how they should act. That's how most of the Vietnam War stopped this. It was to stop the spread of communism. Damn if they actually think communism is better than capitalism. They don't know better for themselves. We're here to tell them what they should do. That's what we've been doing. But yet we tell folks we're fighting for freedom. No, we are fighting for the American way. That is what we do in this country. We go around the world fighting for the American way. To us, that's freedom. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate you folks tuning in on this late evening live. I appreciate the 58th. I didn't really promote the tapping of the screen for the likes too much, but Monday through Friday, noon is when we're here. The program is always MAGA friendly. It always is, always will be in its entirety. Liberals are welcome as well. You know we don't censor, block, or ban anyone at all. We don't believe in that. We do believe in free speech. I don't believe you change hearts and minds by shutting people up, but having a decent, rational, civilized conversation is how you make things work. If you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without fear or concern of the host trying to block, ban, or censor you, I invite you to follow the channel. For you folks on YouTube, perhaps a subscription or tap that like button would be helpful as well. But this is what we do. Until tomorrow, you guys take care and have a wonderful